So I guess this is Mardi Gras 2023 down here in Bourbon Street. On this trip, I'm not really going anyplace but Bourbon Street. I got a cruise in the morning, but I shouldn't say I'm in the French Quarter, not just Bourbon Street. Been wandering around here. Very interesting things. A lot of history in this city. A lot of history. Insane amount. New Orleans is a vibrant and culturally diverse city known for its rich history, music, and cuisine. Situated along the Mississippi River, the city has a blend of French, African, Spanish, and Creole influences. It is known for its festive atmosphere, especially around Mardi Gras, when the city explodes with color, music, and drink. This is home to jazz, blues, and soul music. New Orleans is a music lover's paradise, with live performances filling the streets and numerous iconic venues. I was just there last January, and it is sort of uncommon to walk more than 2 blocks down in the French Quarter without running into someone playing music on the side of the street. The food scene in New Orleans is a major part of the city. Dishes like gumbo, jambalaya, and beignets, which if you've never had one, they're amazing. If you're trying to lose weight or get away from sugar, probably don't eat them. New Orleans is known for its architecture with beautiful French Quarter buildings and amazing ironwork balconies. New Orleans attracts millions of visitors every single year. The city only has 383,000 residents. That was at the 2020 census, and the entire metro area only has about 1.2 million. It's a great city, it's just not for everyone. The Big Easy faces some challenges. Today we're looking at the 10 reasons you might not want to move to New Orleans, Louisiana. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, limited outdoor activities. New Orleans really isn't known for getting out and hiking and things like that. There might be some fishing, go stroll around in a swamp if you want, but you're not going to find, hiking, skiing, or exploring extensive landscapes. The city's location doesn't offer easy access to mountains, forests, or large wilderness areas that you'd find in other parts of the country. And walking from bar to bar on a bar crawl is not outdoor activities. This may not seem like a big deal to a lot of you, but millennials and Generation Z tend to avoid cities that don't have a lot of outdoor activities. Number 9, racial tensions. New Orleans, like many other cities in the United States, has experienced historical and ongoing racial tensions. Some individuals or families may not feel comfortable living in a city with a history of racial inequality and discrimination. I actually asked a New Orleans cab driver about the racial situation there because there was something in the news last time I was there. And he said it's been that way since New Orleans was founded, so it's nothing new. And if you're from there, you kind of ignore it. You just know it's there. He said almost like living in New Orleans, there's alligators in the pond. That could be a problem. You just avoid them. He had that thick New Orleans accent too. I wish I could do an accent because the way he explained it, it was amazing. Number 8, the political climate. Like any city, New Orleans has its own unique political climate and policies that might not align with everyone's values or preferences. Individuals seeking a different political environment might choose to live in other cities or other states. Louisiana is a very red state, but New Orleans a very blue town. Just to kind of give you an idea where they stand politically, not like this is the best way to determine how a place stands, but it just kind of gives you an idea. In the 2020 presidential election, 1.86% voted for a third-party candidate. 15% voted Republican, and 83.5% voted for Democrats. Number 7, the cost of living. The cost of living in New Orleans can be higher than other cities, especially when you factor in housing costs. While there are affordable neighborhoods, the overall cost of living can make it challenging for individuals on a tight budget to find suitable accommodations. Suitable without like 8 roommates. According to Zillow, as of March 2023, the median home value in New Orleans was $266,836. That's down 6.6% from the year prior. Now, housing isn't that bad, but the housing ain't that great. They do obviously have some amazing old homes that have been redone, and they have some newer homes that are very expensive. But a majority of the houses are around that $266,000 and maybe $350,000, and they're not the best homes. That's their biggest problem. Their other big problem is their rent. For a one-bedroom apartment in New Orleans, you're looking about $1,333. That's according to Rent Cafe. That was last updated in February. The closer you get to the French Quarter, both owning and renting are going to be more expensive. Give you an idea what other neighborhoods where their rents sit. If you go by Bywater, it's $2,086. Holy Cross, $2,086. St. Claude, about $286, along with the lower Ninth Ward. And the French Quarter is almost $1,900. When you look at the goods and services side of cost of living, it's about 10% higher than the national average in New Orleans. I did see that healthcare is about 17% above the national average. Number 6, infrastructure issues. New Orleans infrastructure has faced difficulties, partly due to its aging and sometimes outdated systems. The city's drainage system has been a serious concern, as heavy rainfall can lead to flooding in certain areas. Actually, I shouldn't say certain, in most areas. It's pretty bad. On top of that, this city has some of the worst roads I have ever seen in my life. Make sure you have good car insurance. Make sure you have some kind of, tire warranty if you're living in New Orleans, because you're going to blow out some tires and maybe wreck some rims. You ever really listen to one of those old wooden roller coasters as it's really moving? It's just shaking and it sounds like bolts are coming off. That's what every single cab ride I've ever taken sounds like in New Orleans. Number 5, education. The public education system in New Orleans has faced challenges. That's putting it nice, especially after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, when many of the schools were heavily impacted. So that was quite some time ago, almost 20 years. That's how much damage was done to this city that their schools, and actually a lot of things, haven't fully recovered yet. There have been some serious efforts to improve the education system through charter schools and reforms. The reputation of the education system may still deter families with school-age children from moving to New Orleans. Now, they've gotten better. Area Vibes a couple years ago had them at like a D. They grade them, like give a A, B, C, or D. Right now, they're at a C, so that's good. They're moving in the right direction. It still has some problems. Most of the problems with their school can be tied into the infrastructure problems. When you look at their test scores, they're not terrible. The average test score in the state of Louisiana is 66%. In New Orleans, it's 55%. One good thing is their student-to-teacher ratio is 14 students for every one teacher. The national average is 16-1. Some of their best-rated schools are Lake Forest Elementary, Lusher Charter School, Benjamin Franklin High, New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, and the International School of Louisiana. Number 4, job opportunities. While New Orleans boasts a thriving tourism industry centered around its unique culture, cuisine, and music, like we talked about earlier, it may not offer as many diverse job opportunities as larger metropolitan areas. This could lead to individuals with specific career goals to look for job markets with a greater variety and growth potential. The unemployment rate in New Orleans is 30% above the national average. That's usually where it sits. Now, it might fluctuate when the rate nationally goes up and down in their rate, but normally they sit around 30% higher. Their income per capita is 5% lower than the national average. Household income is 32% lower than the national average. Number 3, the heat and humidity. Yep, this is something that's going to turn a lot of people off and make them not want to move to New Orleans. They're one of the worst when it comes to southern cities. That's what a lot of people say, and that's been my experience. And I've been to a lot of southern cities. New Orleans experiences a subtropical climate characterized by hot, humid summers. The combination of high temperatures and humidity levels can be uncomfortable for some individuals, especially those accustomed to cooler and drier climates, like you're coming from Colorado or you're coming from Oregon, North Dakota, South Dakota. Move down to New Orleans in the summer, and it honestly feels like someone's giving you half the oxygen you're used to. Number 2, vulnerability to natural disasters. Yeah, This is a big one for New Orleans. Like I'd said earlier, Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in the face. The city has a history of a lot of different hurricanes, maybe not all of them smacking them dead on, but they felt the effects. I mean, you had Katrina in 2005. You also had Rita in 2005. You had Hurricane Andrew in 92, Camille in 69, which was apparently pretty bad. Hurricane Ike in 2008, Hurricane Laura in 2020, Gustav in 2008, and Ida in 2021. Now, none of those compare to Katrina. But if you remember back how bad that city was when Katrina hit, I'm sure every time one gets near New Orleans, people start to sweat. I mean, more than they already are, because hurricane season is usually from August to September, so it's already pretty hot there. But where they're situated along the Gulf Coast, New Orleans faces a significant risk of hurricanes and tropical storms. The city's low elevation and its reliance on levees and flood control systems make it susceptible to flooding during severe weather events like hurricanes and, just about anything else. Those seeking a more stable living environment might want to pass up New Orleans. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link for that down below. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. The crime rate. If you had crime rate on your New Orleans bingo card, congratulations, you're a winner. The crime in New Orleans is bad. It always has been for a very long time at least. There's violent crime going on all over this city. And on top of that, you get down to the French Quarter, especially during festival or Mardi Gras, and everyone's trying to rip you off, it seems like. But the crime rate in New Orleans has always been a thing, and right now, the total crime rate is 150% above the national average. Their property crime is 132% above the national average, and their violent crime is 242% above the national average. Last year, there were 1,324 violent crimes in New Orleans for every 100,000 residents. The national average for that is 388. Just for more comparison, Louisiana was doing much better with 639. So they're better than New Orleans, and they're both above the national average. New Orleans is a different city. It's not terribly bad. It does have some problems. I wouldn't choose it as a place to live, but that's just me. A lot of people love the place. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.